You're going to hear first, people. Barker's calling you a stupid bitch if you don't think we need another Scooby-Doo movie. Obey NWO. Welcome, everyone, to the Nerd World Order podcast. This is Abel, and joining me, as always, are my co-hosts and co-conspirators, Barker.
Samurai sword.
And Whitney.
Large, white, opinionated man.
The NWO is where we're trying to take over the world by spreading the weekly pop culture news from across different genres, which include movies, comics, TV shows, or anything that we consider nerd. The Nerd World Order podcast, your greatest entertainment since 2017. All right, guys, this is show 121. That's quite a bit. We do have a short cast of characters today. CJ's working, and from what he's been telling me,
they brought me out of the heavens. They brought me out to the clouds above.
Whitney? Yeah. Barker, you probably have more insight on it. I heard that they've been working him like a dog.
Yeah. He's been doing a lot of more hours lately. So it's good for him because he's a lazy asshole. So, I mean.
I texted him this morning, and apparently he was in the bathroom hiding because he was supposed to leave at 7, and it was like 8:30 when we were having this conversation. And then I guess he has to go back to work at 7, so yeah, that's pretty brutal.
I mean, yeah, that's what his normal schedule is, but he's been going mornings and afternoons. But I like it because the Zoom meeting is actually really spacious right now.
Right. How's the smell now? Has it improved?
So.
What's everybody drinking today?
I made myself a Bloody Mary, except I tweaked it up a little bit, and normally I put pickle juice in there, and this time I had some banana pepper juice, so I get a little tingle in there, a little tingle. It's actually working out for you. I was like, this is an experiment. Let's try it. It worked out. It's a good one.
I am drinking limoncello right now.
Nice.
It's good for a nice spring night.
Yeah.
I am drinking unfiltered wheat beer from the Boulevard Brewing Company. You can build your own 6-pack at Dillon's, which is dope. So I did that.
Nice.
Yeah, I love how you made it so like fancy, even though it's not. I like that.
Yeah, I know.
Very elaborate. A nice unfiltered wheat beer from Boulevard.
Boulevard's the one out of Kansas City, right? No.
Yeah.
So when I was one of the conferences I went to, if you were a conference member, you could go around the KC Zoo, and they had all these fucking golf carts around with Boulevard beer kegs in the back, and they just fill up your cup. So I was just like touring the zoo with like a nonstop free beer like refill. It was fantastic. I was like, this is glorious every moment.
I'm not a Royals fan, but I do like to go to Royals baseball games, and anytime we go, I'm just drinking Boulevard the entire time. The guys have like a Ghostbusters looking thing on their backpack, and they're just like they're walking up and down the stairs, and then they fill up your cup. It's dope.
Yeah. I just remember because they had normal zoo guests there, and then they had all the conference guests, but which we have like these big fucking like lanyard tags, but everyone around me is like, how come they're getting free beer? And I'm like, be special, bitch.
Look at the lanyard. Alrighty, we do have some poll questions from last week. Let me pull them up. Let's see. Who wins in a fight? A 10-year-old or Abel running at full speed? 83% said 10-year-old. And is Abel better than a 10-year-old? Poll question, whatever I forgot. 50-50. So those are 2 poll questions of the week. If you guys want to vote,
you did a lot of polling on that, Abel. You didn't want to make it like a clean sweep.
Of what? Of me losing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can only vote once per account.
Luckily, I have 25.
You're like knocking on your neighbor's door, like, hey, can I borrow your tablet real quick? Just real quick.
Luckily, I have a few fake accounts. One being that other NWO account.
Oh yeah, I remember that fucking guy. He's the one that has the original NWO or the Nerd World Order.
Yep.
Let's see.
That was a cool tweet, she's just like, no, I'm gonna say the 10-year-old wins. Like, you shut your mouth, Miss Wallace. Not getting lawn mode this week.
If you guys want to vote on our polls, follow us on Twitter at Nerd World Order 2, and you can vote. And also, if you want to let us know anything, comments, suggestions, anything like that, follow us on Facebook or Twitter, Nerd World Order 2. and we can get it going. Andres said he was going to join us this week. He asked me in the middle of the week, what are we doing this week? I'm like, we're watching Scott Pilgrim and watching Batman Bad Blood. Okay, I got it. I'll be there Sunday. And I text him today, and I'm like, hey, are you going to be here? It's fine if you didn't watch the movies. I just need to know what to expect. He's like, I'm not even at home right now. I was like, dude, what a piece of shit.
Whatever. He's in a basement with a bunch of hentai just all lined up for hours on end.
That's what I'm saying. But he did make enough time for us by giving the hottest piece of anime news in this week's The Andres Loza Memorial Anime Minute. Last year, for the 40th anniversary of Mobile Suit Gundam, the popular mech franchise found itself crossing over with the albino feline that goes by the name of Hello Kitty. But this year sees a stranger meeting as the Gundam series is teaming up to sell some serious tuna. Yes, if you can believe it, the Mobile Suit Gundam series is teaming up with Haro Moro and King Oscar Oil Sardine to sell some fish to Japanese citizens that will have the images of the famous mechs along with the villainous Char attempting to feed the sardines while he is not piloting his Zaku. So there you go.
I mean, Gundam is everywhere. Well, I mean, yeah, that's where I get my Twitter name. My Twitter name is actually a obscure anime character from an obscure anime, which once upon a time, if you Googled that anime character, which is a weird set of letters, you'd find him. But now you actually find me because I've been using it for so fucking long.
Nice.
That's crazy. So if I were to Google that, you're the first person to come up?
Yep. I guarantee it. If you'll find pictures of me instead of the monster thing that I am, which now that we got the Discord, that picture that I have is that monster that I'm named after.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
That's fucking nice. Alrighty, we'll just keep moving along. This weekend. So obviously the coronavirus is bad. That, but it is benefiting a lot of streaming services and stuff like that. And one of them to benefit actually is the DC Universe. A lot of people thought that, the writing's on the wall because they're releasing the HBO Max, Warner Brothers owns DC and HBO and all of its subsidiaries and stuff like that. But DC Universe saw an increase of 35% over the pandemic over the last couple of weeks. And it says that according to the numbers, 18 million comics were read 18 million more comics were read during this point than at any other time during the DC Universe's lifespan. So that's pretty good. And I know that we'll talk about here something else that people might be worried about, but it looks like, and also a big reason why that's happening is a lot of people are either subscribing for the free trial or actually buying it for Harley Quinn, because Harley Quinn has been a massive crossover success. And actually, the website comicbook.com had a watch party the other day. So if you wanted to watch along the last 2 episodes, they were tweeting along and stuff like that. So yeah, the comic book accessibility and then Harley Quinn, the animated series, has made DC Universe grow quite a bit, which is kind of exciting.
So the baby's growing. I think it's funny. Actually, there's a TikTok that makes fun of all the streaming services that I need to send you. I think I might have sent you guys if you watched it. Fucking hilarious, because it. One of the things is people don't realize is Crunchyroll is actually like the dominator of all the streaming services. They like get 3 to 4 times the volume of Netflix.
Really?
Yeah, it is. In that one, in the skit, like it has all the streaming services like as people arguing, and then suddenly you just see this like guy in a hood in the corner just start speaking Japanese, saying "You are being too noisy," and then Netflix is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Crunchyroll. I'm so sorry."
Well, you know what's cool about the Harley Quinn thing is now I think Big Cable is actually kind of looking into it too, because I was watching some old Futurama on the Sci-Fi Channel. Yeah. And they're actually putting season 1 of Harley Quinn on Sci-Fi. So I think people are understanding that it's rolling. I mean, it's a big thing now. So I think they're gonna start seeing a lot of.
I think that's also. I think DC is doing a smart job double dipping. To see it
yeah,
firsthand
yeah.
and guarantee that you don't get spoilers, you have to get their service. But then for the normies, there's also basically contracting it out to the cable services later on, like they did with CW, a few things with the thing. So they're basically double dipping their own show, which is something that Netflix is not doing. Netflix is like, only me, and DC's like, first us, then you guys.
Then you, yeah.
Yeah, which is perfectly fine, because that's also like how movies go. They go theater to pay-per-view, or video and pay-per-view, and then to the individual things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that it's a nice blend of old school and new school kind of marketing, I guess.
Well, and I'm hoping too that it kind of keeps doing that, so they can do like Titans and Doom Patrol like on certain channels too. I think that'd be awesome.
And there's people like me who do not have DC, but that's because I have like 5 or 6, and I have to explain it to my wife why we need this other service.
Yeah, no, it's getting ridiculous.
Everything else.
It's getting ridiculous with all the streaming services, because when Netflix and all that stuff initially came out, it was like a good respite from having to pay $60 a month for cable. Right. Well, now everybody has a streaming service. HBO's is about to come out next month. Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, CBS All Access. So if you want 6 streaming service, it's $60.
Yeah,
and it's exactly what you were paying for like 2, 4, 5 years ago.
If you look at millennials and younger, or even like young or zennials, where I'm kind of like at that cusp between the two, if you look at that and under, look at the percentage that actually are paying for a cable subscription. So it's like, that's why CBS and stuff are getting us, because I haven't had cable since like 2006 or 7, something like that. So it's been a hot.
Yeah, I haven't had consistent cable since college. Because you just can't afford it. You know, it's fucking expensive.
I got rid of my DirecTV last year. I mean, the streaming services they basically have everything that cable does have.
It's more important to have a high-speed internet connection and a few streaming services than it is, because at least
that's just the evolution of media right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a good segue, actually, when Whitney was talking about double dipping, because they officially announced a release date for Doom Patrol Season 2, which is something I've been waiting on for a while now. Mm-hmm. The official date is June 25th, and people got scared when they said that they were releasing it on HBO Max, but as Whitney was talking about double dipping, they're actually releasing it to HBO Max and the DC Universe at the exact same time.
Oh,
so,
okay.
And it's not like you're fighting over it's not like you're fighting over the same crowd, because these are 2 different services. So you're going to get one. You're just expanding your viewership, which is really smart. And they're actually doing the same thing with Stargirl, the CW show that's coming out next week. It's going to premiere on the DC app, and it's going to premiere on the CW at the exact same time. The only advantage to the DC owners is that you can always just go back and watch it whenever. You don't have to watch it, on appointment TV or whatever. So that's pretty good, because I think the more people that see Doom Patrol and stuff like that, it just means that they're able to that they're going to produce more TV shows like it, and I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I like the idea of normalizing it for that reason.
Well, and I think too with that. How they're doing it at the same time. It's not like if you get DC, you're gonna watch it before HBO Max, and that, like you said, it kind of helps with the viewership and everything. So I'm so surprised that Doom Patrol has gotten the numbers it has. I really didn't think it was gonna be a great show to begin with. I mean,
I was
watching it now. It's fucking awesome. It's probably it's up there with Titans, but it's one of their best ones.
I have not seen.
I'm just so surprised that like something that's not really known to a lot of like just random people and everything, that like it's getting a second season, and
all these DC shows, original shows, have been met with critical success. So it's not like they've been making dog shit or whatever. Even Swamp Thing was canceled for a bunch of reasons, but not because it was bad. You guys can go back and listen to that show, the listeners, but the only reason I think it turned out not as good as it possibly could have been is because they cut it down from 13 to 10 episodes, and they they made a final ending where I think it could have been better if there was a continuous story. Besides that, it's all been good. Good stuff to watch. The one season of Titans I've seen was good. The one season of Doom Patrol, the 1.5 seasons of Harley Quinn, some of the best animated TV show. Like a lot of people that I value their opinion on Twitter, because you can probably count them on one hand the number of people that their opinion I care for as far as like entertainment and stuff like that. And all of them have said that they fucking love Harley Quinn. And so it's a good thing. We'll see. Maybe we'll see down the line whether or not whether the DC universe is absorbed into HBO Max. But for now, it looks like it's gonna thrive. So that's good news.
I was gonna say I'm hoping for more shows behind it. I mean, I think they're 3 for 3 right now. They're doing a bang up job. So
agreed. Yeah, and like we mentioned in the story before, with the viewer or with the readership up, and then people logging in to watch Harley Quinn, I think it's good news. So I think it's only good, and it doesn't hinder it by splitting its viewership with CW or HBO or anything like that. So
yeah.
All right, moving on. The shit show that never ends. So we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago that New Mutants was supposed to come out in theaters. No, it's not. It's supposed to be VOD. No, it's theaters. No, it's VOD. Well, now it's official that its new release date is August 28th. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. I highly doubt it. I was reading a report the other day that movie theaters are opening back up, but like with, space in between seats and stuff like that, which if you're going to open up a movie theater, that's the way to do it. But we'll see. I don't know, man. I don't even know if this will ever come out. This might be like that.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, this is going to be like that movie that Jerry Lewis directed, the day the Crown Clyde or whatever, and it never came out. Yeah, exactly.
No, I just feel like New Mutants is that kid in a custody battle where neither parents want him. Like,
I saw this meme that said,
I feel so bad for New Mutants. I mean, like,
New Mutants are good. I mean, it's just X-Men Next Generation, but yeah.
I feel so bad. It's just in that purgatory where it just can't get out.
That is the perfect way to describe it. It is in purgatory right now. It is just waiting for something. It's like sitting next to Beetlejuice with the long ass number, just waiting for something. Yeah.
Maybe it'll happen.
It's a guy that's like he has to like sit there like at 8 a.m. for the bus like that comes at like 4.
Yeah, exactly. I saw this meme that it was like it said, it was in quotation marks, and it said New Mutants' new release date is August 28th. And then on the bottom, it was a picture of a meteor hitting Earth. Yeah, August 27th. So I don't know, man. We'll see. I don't know what we don't know if we'll ever see it, but we'll go. I hope so. Because
even if it's a bad movie, I'm gonna like this movie because it's held. It's held its ground. So
you know what? This movie is the personification of the poster of the little cat hanging onto the tree, and it says "just hang in there." Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Hang in there, little buddy.
Yeah. All right. I got a couple more pieces of news. Timothy Olyphant is joining The Mandalorian season 2, which is fucking dope because I love Timothy Olyphant. The last thing we saw him in was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was in Justified. The movie that everybody forgets that he was in, but he played a total badass in, was The Girl Next Door. He was like the scummy porn producer or whatever. Have you guys seen that movie, The Girl Next Door?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's good. I mean, they're bringing in all these guys for season 2 for The Mandalorian, so I'm really excited.
Way too many times.
I feel like with like all these like castings and everything, season 2 is gonna be a hell of a fucking season.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Like, not to trash on season 1. Season 1's great, but now I think they realize that they've caught fire, and so they're gonna make this one fucking apart.
Well, they didn't know how well it was gonna hit. I mean, Disney Plus was brand new. They didn't know how many people were gonna buy in and stuff like that. And yeah, it's exciting. I mean, we've had Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka Tano. They just announced Boba Fett's coming back. So yeah, season 2 seems like it's gonna be a huge thing, which is just in time because it's gonna come out in October. So pretty excited for it.
Are we gonna get a baby Jabba the Hutt?
Baby Jabba, baby Jabba.
Jabba. Well, technically, the real Jabba's dead. They choked him by this point.
Well, so is the baby. So is Yoda, but there's a baby Yoda.
But it's not Yoda though. People call it
neither
Baby
is
Yoda.
baby. Neither would Baby Jabba. It would just be an alien Jabba thing.
Well, actually,
I mean, no matter what, we're gonna get a baby worm thing.
Are we gonna get a teenage C-3PO? Like, whatever.
No, I want a teenage Yoda. That would put him at like 100 years old, I think, because they grow to be like at least 900 to 1,000 years old.
He's got the fingerless gloves.
And the thing is, like,
then can't even do tricks on.
They keep changing the like lore of that shit because I remember back in the 90s, they had the RPG for Star Wars, and they actually had Yoda's race, and they had all the stats for it and what planet it was on, and then Disney took over, and they're like, oh yeah, by the way, actually that's just a race that looks like them and talks like them, but that's not them. That's not Yoda's race. Yoda's race, we don't know it. We don't actually know it, even though we already said that we know it.
Star Wars is super famous for retconning a bunch of shit, just like as everything goes by. So
that's why it drives me fucking insane. I'm like, what?
The next big project they're unleashing is going to be a huge line of books that takes place during the Old Republic. So it's going to be exciting, but that I'm sure is going to retcon a fuck ton of shit. So
well, they just basically every few years they just go, everything you know, fuck it, I'm going to shit on it, and then throw it in a pile.
Well, because they know the nerds are going to keep fighting over it, so it's just it's banter material.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Basically.
All right. Last piece of news, which really stinks, is I was always a big fan of his work. Is Fred Willard passed away at the age of 86, I believe, and what was really weird actually is I was watching a rerun episode of Modern Family, which he played Grandpa Dunphy in that, and I legit thought to myself, I'm like, how old is Fred Willard now? Like, how close is he to dying? And then like 4 days later, he got the news that he passed away. So that sucks. He was in. You can make an entire show of all the stuff he's been either starring or cameos and stuff like that. So it stinks. We definitely lost a comedic genius, and it stinks.
I think one of the movies that I remember him best, and he wasn't even really like a big part in it, was How High, when he was. Yeah,
he wasn't How High. He was the dean.
Yeah, I loved him in that, and so when I heard the news, it really sucked because, like you said, he's been in a lot of movies, a lot of TV shows. He's been around, and he's one of those actors that he's really good at being aloof.
Yeah.
Like I love that. I love that about Fred Willard. So it kind of hurts that we don't get to see him.
Oh crap! Well, no, we actually get to see him in one more thing. I'm looking at it now. There's one more show about to come out with him.
How?
Space Force, the TV series. It's in post.
Oh, the one that they just released a trailer on for Netflix.
Yes, so he's all 10 episodes. He's in it. He's the main captain. So we have one more thing. Although now the question is that a show that's now dead on arrival because they didn't plan it, or are they going to have to tie in something at the end where they're going to have to write on like he dies or gets transferred or something?
It still sucks though. I love it.
I just like the fact that we get to see one last thing.
Right? Yeah.
After the fact, if you will. But yeah, apparently one more thing.
All right, everybody have a drink for Fred Willard.
Cheers.
Fred Willard.
All right, now I'm drinking your classic Blue Moon.
Okay, CJ.
Hey, it was built a 6-pack. I said it was good. I didn't say they had a big variety, but
holy fuck! I'm just scrolling through his movie list. I'm like on page 18.
His filmography, yeah, I'm telling you, he was in everything.
He did 3 a year since 1977, if not more.
Yeah, I'm sure people, even if you don't know the name Fred Willard, I'm sure everybody recognizes him in something that they've seen that they love. Yep. Yeah, and his face, yeah.
Oh, yeah, he's been in almost everything.
I saw this tweet that said Fred Willard was so beloved that when he got caught jerking off at a porn theater, everybody said, just let him be. That was 10, 15 years ago that happened.
Nice.
All right. Okay, so Barker, you had a piece of news, right?
I did. This is actually I've had this news for weeks now, and I just keep forgetting it. But with Amazon Prime, they're making season 2 of The Boys. Two almost 3 weeks ago, they actually released the names of all the episodes. So let me pull it up real quick. So we've got the first episode of season 2 being Butcher, Baker, Candlestick Maker, Nothing Like It in the World, Over the Hill with the Swords of 1,000 Men, Proper Preparation and Planning, The Big Ride, The Bloody Doors Off, We Got 'Em Now, and What I Know. A lot of them are written by a lot of people from the first season. The only one that kind of sticks out to me is Craig Rosenberg, because he's done a lot of different other shows on TV. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited. They released a bunch of like pre-news saying that the release date's gonna come out soon. That we're gonna get a bunch of information. So yeah, we'll definitely talk about it when that comes out. Have you seen the Boys, Whitney?
Oh God, yeah. I bought all the comics on.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
On Humble Bundle. I haven't read them yet because I'm really bad about that shit. I buy a bunch of shit on Humble Bundle, and I'm like, I've got a bajillion digital copies of comics.
No, you should see my shelf right now of graphic novels and stuff that I need to read. It's kind of out of control.
Yeah, I'm going through Spawn and the Marvel Transformers original stuff. There's a lot. There's a lot between those. I got 2 pieces of news actually. I forgot about the second one.
All right, what's the second one?
First one. Well, let's do the first one we talked about. Gargoyles reboot with and they're talking about bringing in Jordan Peele as a. I'm not sure what. It sounds like a writer or director or producer of it. Something along the lines. So he's going to be in. Jordan Peele just puts out great shit. And honestly, Gargoyles is fucking awesome. Gargoyles is actually one of the things that like might be pulling me into Disney Plus. There's a lot for Disney Plus. Yeah, I love Marvel, but fucking Gargoyles is badass. And if they make a remake,
I fucking love Gargoyles.
Oh my God. Ridiculously awesome.
I remember having the play at home board game while you watched I think it was the direct to home movie, and you played around with the little tokens and stuff like that. I totally love that game.
They actually, it was so popular, like on the like this one level, they had a con that was just the Gargoyles TV show, and the voice actors would come to it, and like they'd get a few hundred people like from across the country to show up in Florida for this thing every year for 10 years after it unaired. The only reason I know this is because it was on the special bonus features of the DVD. But I thought that was kind of a cool
in a generation, or I should say in an era is the more appropriate word. In an era where everything is being remade, rebooted, all that kind of stuff, I feel like Gargoyles is ripe for the picking. I mean, whether it's a new animation or CGI, just something. I mean, I feel like it's so perfect to be remade or whatever. And yeah, I'm surprised it's been definitely gaining a lot of steam since Disney Plus came out, because people have been able to revisit.
They could
for sure. Yeah.
The other thing actually, I wanted to talk about today. Amazon talking about buying AMC,
the movie theater. Yeah, I heard about that.
Amazon
That's
Prime
big.
And whatever they're producing, getting some weird first dibs on movies. Imagine that. Like Amazon Prime stuff not just being Amazon Prime, but Amazon Prime and Amazon movie theaters. You know what I mean?
Jeff Bezos is going to be probably the first trillionaire.
I honestly think that this is the next evolution for the theaters, and I think they're going to have to be bought out by streaming services, and each one's going to, we're not going to have just the theater. It's going to be like, well, which kind of theater do you have? Well, ours is this connected to this streaming service or that streaming service. You know what I mean? Because I don't think they're going to survive the Rona coming out. They're going to have to be completely shifted. It's not going to look the same.
A lot of things are going to shift during this.
Oh yeah.
During this time, a lot of business models, a lot of everything. So movie theaters.
I think theaters were actually going a certain direction. We're kind of starting to see a point where they needed to evolve, and I think this is just like steamrolling, like evolve or die, bitch.
Yeah, really. I mean, but yeah, it's not going to be business as usual for a lot of things, and I think particularly for movie theaters, it's going to change a lot. It's gonna change a lot. So
Yep.
particularly with all these movies going straight to video on demand, like Scoob just came out this weekend, and Troll World Tour a couple weeks ago, and then the big comedy of the summer was going to be the what's it called, the King of Long Island, or it's the one with Pete Davidson, and it's directed by it's being directed by Judd Apatow, and he always does like the big summer comedy movies, and that's going straight to
I watched the trailer for that last night.
It was pretty good.
It looks like a fucking hella good movie. I really want to watch it.
And they're kind of playing a little bit off of Pete Davidson's real life experience. His dad died during 9/11. I don't think they're saying that during the movie, but in the movie they're saying that he died in a fire. Right. But anyways, so it's just a lot of things are gonna have to come into. It's a reality check for a lot of movie theaters. So we'll just see. I love going to the movie theater. I think you pay for the experience just as much as you pay for the movie. So I think there's still that corner of folks that like to go to the movie theaters, and once the pandemic cools down and we're able to kind of do some more normal things, I know that I'll try to go as much as I can.
I like movies for the same reason I like the bar. I don't have to clean my house and then still meet up with people.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean? Yeah.
Because I like after the movie just like rehashing, talking about the whatever. Just nerding and geeking out about it before you head home for like the 10-15 minutes, and then
it's the aesthetic behind it.
Yeah, and then so the same effect as a bar. You get to go out and drink with friends, but you don't have to clean your house unless you get to watch the movie, but you don't have to set that up.
I mean, one of the best experiences of my life ever was watching fucking Endgame with the crowd full of people going apeshit crazy as all the heroes were making their entrance one at a time. I mean, that shit was Barker was there, like that shit was crazy, man.
Yeah, you get that crowded endorphin rush when everybody's on the same page, and like there's actually like there's a clinical term for it, but you get this rush when everyone's just kind of like in the moment with you, and you have that group experience.
I don't know. I agree with you that like theaters just have that thing. Like I remember my first movie was Jurassic Park, and just to be there and just have that experience, like that big screen and the noise, and like just it like makes your like blood rush and everything. That like I think that's why I feel like theaters are going to come back after this whole virus thing. It's going to come back big.
I think it's going to come back, but it's definitely going to be different. It's going to have to be. I think they're going to die off to an extent.
But I feel more people are going to watch more movies in theaters than they did before.
They're going to be absorbed and involved, or in some way, shape, or form by streaming services.
What were your guys' first movies in a theater?
Oh God, I'm trying to think.
The first memory I have of a movie theater was down Main Street when that was still open, and it was Batman Forever.
Wow.
Or no, not Batman Forever. Excuse me, Batman Returns, the one with Michael Keaton, Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, DeVito as Penguin. I remember specifically watching that movie, taking in the experience, and then I remember they used to block off Main Street so people could walk out, kind of hang out, talk, and have a good time after the movies and stuff. And then, I clearly remember that being my first movie, or my first memory of a movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to think. I gotta actually date these movies to figure out which one came out first.
With Charlie Chaplin in it.
Fuck you. Actually, they both came out the same fucking year. So it was either Oliver and Company or The Land Before Time is my first real memory.
Wow. Okay.
Because they both came out in '88. So.
How very appropriate for Whitney, The Land Before Time.
Oh God, that one fucking wrecked me emotionally as an 8-year-old.
Yeah, it does.
Like, his mom died.
Well, how do you think I felt? I was like 4 or 5, and I went to Jurassic Park. I didn't sleep for a fucking week and a half. Like, Jesus Christ. And like we were like in like the first 3 rows. Like that's like the worst part, like the worst place to be.
I think
in a dinosaur fucking just horror movie. Ridiculous.
I think when I was 4 or 5, my parents made the mistake of they thought I was asleep, but I actually was hiding behind the couch and watching it. Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah, Ghostbusters as a little kid will fuck you up.
It fucked me up. Yeah. Like they had to console me for like a week, and they're like, "God damn it!" I think I lost it at the fucking. They were in the library, and then
yeah,
I'm like, Jesus Christ.
All right, let's keep this train a moving. Chugga, chugga, chugga. All right, let's see.
Keep it not
Before
derailed, motherfucker.
yeah. Well, we already had a 10-minute derailment right there. Let's see. That was the news. Okay, before we get into the main topics of the show this week, we do have some Florida news. And this Florida news is with a little bit of a twist. It's self-awareness, which is awesome. New Jersey reopening beaches during coronavirus is a, quote, Florida man situation waiting to happen. So
yes.
When I read that title, I was like, yeah, that's very self-aware of New Jersey.
Whoa, New Jersey. You can't be like Florida. Like, oh shit, we're being like Florida? Yeah, we can't do that shit.
You gotta calm your horses.
Like, New Jersey's like that drunk chick that's like, I'm gonna dance on the bar, and like New York and like Massachusetts, like, yo, you can't. No, don't be like Florida over there, like passed out like next to the jukebox, like throwing up. Where's my Uber at?
Call Jessica.
Karen!
Alrighty, let's see. Alrighty, so we are continuing our trek down the Batman animated, and that's the point I'm going to talk about, the DC animated movie universe. CJ and I tried to do it a long time ago, but we just didn't. And there was news that Apocalypse War is going to be the last movie of this continuity. So we thought it'd be a good idea for each episode, the episode of the NWO, particularly now that there's no movies to review or anything like that, nothing in particular coming out that's new, to go back and watch these movies in order and kind of fully delve in the DC animated universe and check it out. So this week is Batman Bad Blood. This is a direct sequel to the past two movies we've talked about, which was Batman, or Son of Batman, and then Batman vs. Robin. This is the third consecutive Batman story, which I don't know how you guys feel about it, but it was directed by Jay Oliva. This is the fourth movie that he's directed out of the six that we've watched. And this isn't necessarily based on any specific Batman story, but a lot of the little plot details were taken from Grant Morrison's run on Batman, which is considered one of the greatest runs of all time. The release date of this movie was January 20th, 2016, when it came out digitally first, and then February 2nd in 2016. Like I mentioned, this is the sixth movie in the DC animated movie universe. This is starring Jason O'Mara as Bruce Wayne, Batman, like we mentioned before, Yvonne Strahovski as Batwoman, Stuart Allen as Damian Wayne, Marina Baccarin as Talia al Ghul, John DiMaggio as Blockbuster and Tusk, those two tank characters. Lucius Fox was Ernie Hudson, which is cool, speaking of Ghostbusters. This is the fifth highest grossing DVD Blu-ray that the DC animated movie universe has, with $4.7 million. And Barkus and CJ isn't here. Do you want to give us the synopsis?
Go fuck yourself if you haven't seen the movie. You son of a bitch.
Yes, but since CJ has been cooking dinner for me lately, I'm not going to mock him in his voice. You're welcome, CJ, for listening to this right now. So I'm going to do just a regular synopsis.
Bribery.
For the record, last week his synopsis sucked. I listened to it again. It was a great actual synopsis, but it was a horrible CJ synopsis.
Oh yeah, no. Last week I was like, holy shit. I was like, what?
It was the best synopsis, but the worst CJ synopsis.
I was like, this is an actual synopsis. This isn't
exactly
CJ take.
Okay, so it's a couple weeks after the whole Court of Owls incident with Batman and Robin. Batwoman intercepts a couple of villains trying to do nefarious acts. Batman comes in, fights them and everything. That guy comes out of nowhere, beats his ass, and kidnaps him. So Batwoman has been the new Batman for the time being. She paroles and everything. Then Nightwing also knows that Batman's missing, so he dons the cape and the cowl and is working with Robin to try to defeat crime. There's another kid who's Lucius Fox's son. He wants to kind of do a little bit more with his father. He becomes like Iron Man DC version. They all get together. They find out that Robin's mom has kidnapped Batman and is trying to make him evil. They all get together. They find him. They all fight each other. They win. And now we have a Bat family, with a Bat dog and a Bat lawn and a Bat mortgage payment and all that good stuff.
And the Bat pig offense.
I totally forgot about that. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and then hijinks ensue. Yeah, for sure. So Barker kind of.
I always forget the hijinks ensue. God damn it.
You can't. I'm designing a shirt.
Hijinks ensue.
So what's everybody's initial thoughts on the movie?
I liked it overall, except for one major aspect, which I think we talked about before on the show. You guys did.
Okay. We'll save that for the dislike part.
Yep.
But
overall,
Parker. Oh, but Whitney, sorry, finish.
Oh, overall, I thought it was a good dynamic without Batman to kind of pull everyone together and see how they have to act and behave without. Really, I mean, honestly, the only thing linking everybody together is Batman, is Bruce Wayne. And without him, why would any of these people want or like to be around each other? And also Alfred kind of upped his game in his role because he's continuing what what Bruce Wayne would want to do in his wake of his absence. And obviously Alfred is a leadership figure. He's a shadow leadership figure, and that's kind of how he rolls. Yep.
Parker.
Oh man, I totally forgot. I mean, it's stupid of me to say this, but I forgot this is the movie after Batman and Robin. So my last week's take, where that was the best movie of the time, this is by far the best movie that has come out at this point. I really loved it. It was a great movie. Like, you had a lot of exposition, you had a lot of backstory, fight scenes. You had it was more than just a Batman movie, and god damn it, it's just from minute one to the credits, it was just fucking amazing. So
okay, I respect that. I really did enjoy the movie. Overall, I've enjoyed it. I don't think there's a bad one in the bunch that we've seen so far. But some obviously are better than others. I enjoyed this movie, but it wasn't my favorite. I think it dragged at parts. I don't think it was exciting. I don't think the action pieces were as good as Batman versus Robin. And nothing against this movie, obviously, but I'm holding the other movie to that's the standard now for me. Yeah. And if you don't reach that for me, it's obviously a lesser movie. So I really enjoyed it. Like, I didn't get bored or anything watching it. But yeah, it just wasn't particularly, I don't think, better than the movie from last week. So let's start with Whitney.
Hold on, one sec.
Okay.
Who gave you a podcast again?
What do you mean? I went to the podcast store.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, I totally agree with Abel, because this is not my favorite. Actually, of all the Batman movies in this line of Batman movies, I'd say this is my least favorite. Which
really
means it's but they're all fucking phenomenal. It's just like a grade or two down.
Yeah.
It's so lackluster for a lot of reasons, but.
So yeah, Whitney, we'll start with you then. What's one particular thing you did like, though?
What I did like?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I kind of talked about it where Alfred kind of takes over. I liked that whole story arc, and it really kind of brought that character out more, as well as that whole angst between Nightwing and him, and kind of showed it more on an emotional level. Was it a logical thing? No, it's just, but people are people, so emotion's going to get involved between all of them. So I did like that whole interaction, and the interaction between Damian and him continued on into this movie. But I think Damian was a little bit more mature in this movie. It's actually been a while since I saw, because I don't have DC, so I didn't get to recap it, but I did see it a while back. I don't know. This one, honestly, without watching it again, it had the least memories come back to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It almost blends in, like it should, just like parts of it should be with other movies. It's hard to make this one stand out, but otherwise I did like it. The action was fine. I thought the villains were just kind of meh for the most part, but compared to the others, it's like they peaked too early with some of the other movies with Ra's al Ghul, and I mean Ra's al Ghul fucking died. I'm like, that's
I
fucking
get
huge.
that part. It's like, he's a huge villain, and they killed him in like the first 5 minutes.
And then,
sorry, go ahead.
But the fact that he and his daughter is a badass villain in and of herself, and then it just felt like this villain was. It just felt like a downgrade compared to the other villains. Like, and then anyway, but
Parker, how about you?
I liked a lot of stuff, but I think the thing that kind of pops out to me in this movie that is probably the diversity. I liked that, we have Batwoman, we have Batwing, Nightwing, Robin, we're getting the whole Bat family together. And I like the fact that all of them, they still need Batman, but all of them are willing to step up and take that, lead role to kind of protect the city. I especially with Batwing. I mean, he's brand new, but he was willing to just, die for Bruce Wayne, and he barely even knows, like him. So, it's especially with Batwoman too, like they're just willing to make sure that Gotham is, ran correctly. And I love that, and none of them really, they're trying to step on each other's toes, but you feel like at the end, they knew their place, like how they're implemented into the team to, fight crime. And I like that.
I agree. Yeah, one particular thing that sticks out to me is this definitely feels to me like the end of a chapter, like a trilogy. Like you had Son of Robin, then you had Batman versus Robin, and then you had Batman Bad Blood, which I don't know if it was an appropriate title because I don't think there was any legitimate bad blood because Batman was obviously mind controlled. But what I did like is at the end, kind of piggybacking off of your point, is that the Bat family's built at the very end. You know what I mean? So it took 3 movies to kind of get the Batman universe within this DC universe going and set and stuff like that. And at the very end, actually, we see Batgirl kind of following the rest of them. So we know that there's a Batgirl in the works. That's something that it was good storytelling. And I appreciate that. It was good. Was this the first time seeing it, Barker? I know Whitney said that he'd seen it before. Have you seen it before?
No, this is the second time, but it's been a while since I've watched it. So
yeah, for sure.
I remember key pieces. Yeah, key pieces. But yeah, I definitely needed to watch it again.
Mm-hmm.
I wrote here in my notes that Batman got that good dick if Talia al Ghul is willing to throw everything away for that good dick.
Right.
Dude, she is fucking insane. Like she wants that. Like you could tell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, just nefarious plan. Like,
if Batman can fight in like 20,
to get dick down, like, yeah.
If Batman knows like 20 different forms of martial arts, I'm sure he's well versed in the
in the D.
Yeah. Okay, so what's one particular thing that you did not like?
I'm pretty sure this is the movie where the sex scene with Batwoman is, correct?
No,
this is a different one?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm mixing up my movies then. Fuck. Which one had that one?
That
was the Killing Joke.
Killing Joke, that's right. That one. Never mind. Actually, this one has fewer issues. I'm now getting a little bit more into this. But one of the issues I have with it is basically, like, do we have to have, like, Batman's only nemesis is basically himself? Like, over and over again, kind of like the Damian versus and Batman thing. Now we have clone and Batman thing, and then we have, I'm like,
Batman is his greatest foe.
And then, but at the same time, Batman is also now the creation of the worst villains of the DC universe because they're all from him. And yet, at the same time, I also like Batman Forever or whatever, or not Forever, Batman Beyond.
Yeah.
Which is also, spoiler alert, clone of Batman, but I don't know. I just like that version better than this. I don't know. It just.
I think it's more of the fault of the universe that and that's why there was a Freudian slip there at the beginning when I said the third Batman or the sixth Batman movie in the universe, because they opened up with 2 Justice League movies, which obviously have Batman in it, and then 3 continuous Batman stories back to back to back. And I understand they were trying to build like a trilogy, but I feel like you could have spaced them out and still get the same continuity that you would that if you were to put like a Superman movie in between or a Green Lantern, stuff like that. It's just, it was like boom, boom, boom. So yeah, it's more of the, I love Batman as much as the next guy, obviously my favorite superhero, but it was a lot of Batman at the very beginning when you have this entire universe.
So like I said, I really love this movie. So to me, my thing that I didn't like it's not even really like I didn't like. It was one thing that I wish they would have changed in the movie to kind of put more perspective to it, and that's the final fight scene. So you get Batman against Nightwing, which you need that fight. You need to show that Dick Grayson is his own person. He doesn't need Batman anymore. He's willing to show Batman, listen, I'm my own guy. I don't need you, like I thank you for the help and everything but I'm me now. And then Nightwing with the other people, he's trying to show the other Bat family, hey, I can do this. I know I'm the new guy and everything I know I'm Lucius Fox's son, but I have the tools, I have the skills, I can be part of this, The one thing I questioned was Talia al Ghul facing Batwoman when I felt like it should have been Robin against Talia al Ghul.
Yeah,
I agree.
Just to show her, like, yes, you trained me to be this assassin. You trained me to be evil. I'm showing you now. I'm fighting you, my own mother. That I want to be good. I want to fight crime. I want justice.
Honestly, in a sense, it kind of continues that whole like Killing Joke, kind of chauvinist plot kind of a thing going where they basically turned Batwoman into a sexual object by doing that, and now she still can't fight the guys because she has to fight another woman. That's all there is to it. Like, you know what I mean?
I really didn't. I didn't really see that. I kind of did, but I thought like it would come full circle. You've got all this trilogy, and it's all about Robin, and I feel like that's where they didn't mess up on it, but it would have put it into perspective. Like I said, that if he's trying to fight his mom to show her, I'm not going to be evil.
If that would have happened, I'd be fine with it because that, as you said, all those different storyline pieces fit together. But instead, they had 2 women that have fucked Batman fight and basically turn it into this whole. They didn't focus on it, but it's still a trope. It's still a fucking trope that they just went with. It's a kind of a chauvinistic situation where in the end she still doesn't fight the other villain. She fights the chick. And she fights the chick that they both fucked, of the guy that they both fucked. And it's kind of like, seriously, it's the
you're thinking Batgirl. This is Batwoman.
Or sorry, Batwoman. Wait.
Yeah. Batwoman's lesbian.
So this is the lesbian. Never mind. Sorry. God damn it. I forgot. So
I don't know how many times I've done that too,
Oh fuck. Okay, so at least they didn't go for that trope, but they still had the like cat fight scenario.
Yeah, no, I think the greater argument is that it's instead of having Damian, who basically that fight was written for him because not only did we witness the Talia al Ghul giving Batman his son back and all that stuff, but in this movie Damian realizes that to Talia al Ghul, he's just another one that they could just clone, or who gives a shit, you're expendable, you're whatever. And I think that a final fight between them two would have put a nice little bow at the end, because there's no reason narratively that Batwoman should have been fighting Talia al Ghul, because that's the first time they had met. And I get it, like, you don't want to write where like kid fights grown woman or man fights that I get it, but narratively it wouldn't make sense if Robin fought Talia.
Yes. Instead, we ended up
like I said, it wasn't a bad thing. I question that. Like, why are we off of 3 movies? Why are we
on it
not doing that?
The more I think about these 3 movies, I'm like, obviously there's kind of a chauvinistic overtone to it with the way they portray Batwoman and Batgirl in these compared to other media that have shown the 2 characters. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I just feel like they demeaned the female characters in a sense, which I'm not normally looking for that, but I just remember watching these movies and that just like really like ticking the far corner feminist section of a brain of like, it's not that big of a area in my mind, but it was enough to like make that tick off,
I gotcha. No, yeah, for sure. Alrighty. What are some other things that kind of stuck out to you guys, good or bad? I'll start here before I forget about it. As much, I think we've all complained relatively about voices to characters or something like that, or to a hero. I thought that the Heretic's voice actor was the best match that we've had so far in these Batman movies.
Who was it voiced by?
Let me see if I can see it from my notes. It doesn't.
Your notes suck. Travis Willingham.
Travis Willingham. Okay. So good for you, Travis.
It doesn't look like he's been in a lot of other things that we would know.
I don't know the character that well. I'm not a DC guy, so most of my Batman knowledge is animated universe. So
he's done a lot of video games. Wait, hold on. Yeah, in Red Sun, he was Superior Man.
Travis, what was his name?
Travis Willingham. I mean, he's done a lot of like Halo and.
Oh shit! This guy's huge. Oh god, this guy does a shit ton of stuff.
Okay, never mind.
Okay, so what about you guys? That's one thing that stuck out to me.
I feel like through this whole trilogy, and especially with this. Okay, I'm going to start with this movie first. This movie, there wasn't really a voice actor that I thought wasn't in the role that they should have been in. Shout out to John DiMaggio. He gets in some Batman movies. If you do not know John DiMaggio, look him up. He does some of the best voice acting next to Mel Blanc and Billy West.
He actually did a Joker in one of the animated movies. He's not part of this universe, but he was in the Red Hood.
Under the Red Hood, he was the Joker there, and he did a great one. Like he's in my Can Do No Wrong folder. It's becoming a folder now. Like I'm gonna have to start getting like a file cabinet for these people. And there's later on, I'll tell you another person that's in that Can Do No Wrong kind of folder. But yeah, I mean, voice acting. I know CJ doesn't like the Jason O'Mara Batman, but like I said, O'Mara, Troy Baker, Will Arnett, and then Kevin Conroy are kind of the ones that do more of the Batmans and everything like that. And O'Mara doesn't do a bad job, None of them really do a bad job. They do have a bad movie, with the exception of Conroy. You can't go wrong with Conroy.
Too bad Andreas isn't here, by the way, for Willingham. But just gotta say,
he does a lot of anime stuff or what?
I feel like with this movie,
what was that?
He does a lot of anime stuff or what?
Oh, he does a shit ton of anime stuff. Like every major anime, but the big one that he did was he was a shit ton of voices for Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, nice.
He was Cell. He was
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was, all it says under Dragon Ball Z is various, because he did a voiceovers for the English dub.
That's funny you say that, because when you say Cell, I immediately get the voice in my head, because I watched the Cell games a fuck ton of times growing up.
Yeah, as far as like anime is concerned, like he's a major character in every major anime since 2001.
Wow.
So when I said he's not in a lot of big things. Can we edit that part out?
Right? I'm like, and then I'm looking at him like he's he's also in
I
every
started
Marvel.
like in I was started in 1993, and I started scrolling up, and I was like, oh shit, I just
And he's also in every single. He's also
totally just contradicted myself. Like,
he's also voiced every single. He's got a voice in every single Marvel cartoon since 2000.
It's me, right? Yeah, like I totally just contradicted myself.
Oh,
You're welcome, Dustin.
So kind
games,
of
all over the place.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. He's probably the narrator of your life, and you don't even know, Parker.
Right?
He's a voice in the back of my head. He's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Actually, I was looking to see.
Sign my paycheck.
Yep, that's what I'm trying to see if he's on. Oh God, Critical Role. Because there's a shit ton of voice actors that are on that D&D podcast or video streaming thing, where you just watch them play D&D.
Well, while Whitney looks that up, I thought that Jason O'Mara kind of really is really coming into his own, playing Batman, and I like him the more and more I listen to him.
Yeah,
what do you think, Parker?
Oh God, he's that guy. He plays this he plays this really dumb barbarian type in Critical Role, and it's hilarious.
I agree that we all have our opinions and everything like that, but I feel like CJ kind of has been like crushing this guy. When I mean, it's not like he doesn't sound like Batman. He doesn't sound like he's got the the brooding voice and everything like that. I don't think he's done a bad job. I can see where CJ comes at when he says that he's not doing a great job. Yeah, right. But
I thought
if we keep like trying to compare him to Kevin Conroy or like that, he's never gonna win. I'm sorry, like you can't keep doing that. But as long as you put your own spin on what Batman is, but still make sure that you are comic accurate, you have the traits to be that and everything like that. And like I said, I feel like Jason Momoa's done that.
I think this voice actor does a fine job with the Batman. The only issue people are having with him is nostalgia, which is the same issue people have with a lot of shit. Like Vine, people have too much nostalgia.
Well, it's the same way. Like Alan Tudyk was talking about how for Harley Quinn he's the Joker, and everybody kept saying Mark Hamill, Mark Hamill, Mark Hamill.
Yeah,
and it's just like I can't be Mark Hamill, but I'm going to do the best Joker that I can do. If you don't like it, sorry, but this is what I can do, and that's what Jason O'Mara is like. You're coming off of Kevin Conroy, like.
I also think back to like
think of being the shooting guard for the Bulls in 1999. Oh, I have to be Michael Jordan. I'm sorry, I can't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Nobody.
If you think about the original, like how many people have gone through the Joker, like if you go to like the 1960s fucking TV show, every week there was a new fucking Joker. Like every few months there was Cesar Romero. There's actually like 5 different actors doing Joker in that time frame.
But I think one of the things that makes a bad voice actor is trying to be that last person. That's where you fail.
Yeah, you have to do your own thing. Like
put a spin on it, but still, try to be what you're trying to be.
I think I forget the other actors. Jack Nicholson and
there's Heath Ledger, there's Jared Leto.
Yeah, I think each of them have done except Leto. I like all the.
Like Leto wasn't even that bad.
He wasn't that bad. I just don't like that version of the Joker. I think he did great for the version he was given.
Exactly. Who's this?
I don't like the version.
Leto.
But each one is different in their own. Like there's the author of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy says that every time you redo something, you need to do it in a new media, and people should not expect it to be the same story exactly every time. Because his movie's been redone as TV series, as movies, as the novels, and every time, and even if it's the same thing, the media changes, we have to accept that. And we just have to move on.
And also, I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to retract my last statement from the synopsis. Fuck you, CJ. Jason O'Mara did a great job.
There you go.
He did a good job. I think so too.
Alrighty, let's see what else are on my notes here real quick. For some reason, not for some reason, I know why, but I like that retro Batman look better. The costume that that Nightwing was wearing, that Dick was wearing, I like that so much better. I wish that they would do that more often. I'd like that blue and gray. I like what the Batman costume they're using. It's just I like the old one so much better. That nun scene, that second act was so dope with the fucking nuns and the ninjas and the AK-47s.
No, they're not
that scene. That was a fucking crazy scene.
LOL at Nightwing.
I like Batwing in this. I know like he was just a minor character, but I really liked him.
Oh, the Batman Iron Man thing?
Yeah.
Let's see. I like the fight choreography in this. I thought it was really well done. Let's see.
I also did like how they did not kind of they portrayed Batwoman as same sex and everything like that, but they didn't like kind of shy away from it. They were like,
that was cool.
This is the actual Batwoman.
And actually, I guess here's another peep for it. I think they just put so many new characters into this. It could have been either 2 movies or just another 30 minutes to expand a couple more characters a little bit more.
But I feel like with all these DC animated movies, I know I keep saying like more, and I know like they only have a set time, but man, it's either like we need more time because it's actually getting good, or we need more time to delve into this.
Yeah, because
I like my cake and I want to eat it.
Yep. Because I forgot. Like it's been a while, so as I said, I didn't get to rehash it, but I forgot about the Iron Bat, or the Bat.
And that was a great part of the movie.
Yeah, and I was like, they could have expanded him a little bit more, made him a bit more out there. I don't know. They could have. It just could have been expanded a little bit more. Overall, though, the movie was still fucking phenomenal. I completely forgot about the nuns and fucking ninjas. Oh, that was great.
Can we make a side note right now that CJ would both tell us that he fucking hates us and we're pieces of shit?
Oh yeah.
Not like not having a CJ show.
Yeah, we don't have an Andreas or a CJ to put the.
Exactly.
Like comment.
Just a bunch of people in the peanut gallery.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of people mostly agreeing with each other. God damn it. God.
Alrighty, the last note I have on here is LOL at Nightwing, he gets his ass beat. So whatever argument that CJ was trying to make that Nightwing could hold his own and he's basically Batman 2.0, no. Batman cleaned the floor with his ass. He cleaned his clock. That argument is dead and gone. So fuck your argument, CJ.
This is the movie that I was actually thinking of. I was like, wait, we have evidence of him just destroying Nightwing. This movie was the one that was the evidence of it. So yeah.
I feel like till the end of the earth, this debate will never end.
I still say mine is underrated, but only because I picked obscure people that I have to explain too much.
They have more media behind it,
Well, yeah. I'm like, I have somebody who's Storm and Wolverine combined. Anyway,
what is your final rating on this?
Wait, which one's right below Kitty's titties? Is that just titties?
Titties, yes.
I vote titties.
Parker?
I'm gonna go very high Kitty's titties.
Okay. I am going titties on this. So how are we ranking them?
Oh shit. Okay. Now we're getting to the part where there's a lot of movies. So okay. I'm gonna go.
I ranked it already. If you need a second to think about it.
Just run through the list again so I don't miss.
Okay. Here's my list. You should probably write it down. It'd be easier. Batman vs. Robin is my number 1 still. Justice League War, followed by Son of Batman, Flashpoint, Batman Bad Blood, and then Justice League Throne of Atlantis.
So I'm gonna do Bad Blood, Bad Blood, Batman vs. Robin, War, Son of Batman, Flashpoint, and then Throne of Atlantis.
Okay. Let me see. I'm probably going to miss some, so let me fix me if I'm wrong, but I'm definitely going. I'm going Flashpoint for my bet. Are we going bottom to top or top to bottom?
Top to bottom.
Top to bottom. Flashpoint. Batman vs. Robin. Throne of Atlantis. Killing Joke.
Killing Joke's not on there.
Oh, that's not on there. Shit, that's a different one. That's the one I had the other issues with. It was Killing Joke, War will be next. What am I missing?
Justice League Throne, Justice League War.
Got Throne, got War. I'm missing 2 Batmans. I'm missing
Batman vs. Robin, and
Bad Blood.
Bad Blood.
Wait, I'm missing. Okay, so I go Flashpoint to Batman vs. Robin, Throne of Atlantis, War. Which Batman one am I missing?
Son of Batman.
Yeah.
Or sorry, not Batman vs. Robin. Son of Batman. Replace Batman vs. Robin with Son of Batman.
Okay.
So it goes Flashpoint, Son of Batman, Throne of Atlantis, War, and then Batman vs. Robin and Bad Blood. Which is weird because actually Batman's my favorite character, but with these I think they did a great job with some of those Justice League stuff.
Okay, sounds good. Alrighty. So yeah, next week we are doing which one's next? Justice League versus Teen Titans. So that is actually one I have never seen before, so I'm excited for that.
Actually, I think I have seen that. Okay, I've seen that. I'll have to watch it again.
Hey CJ,
Yeah.
do you love the NWO?
Yeah.
Do you like supporting things you love by giving them an amount of money so small that you wouldn't notice or feel leaving your bank account?
Yeah.
Then you'd be perfect to donate to the NWO cause, which will help us create more content and become a better podcast. Is that something you like to do?
Yeah.
Then visit us on patreon.com/NoRolled and give us a monthly donation to help us out. Or if you want, give us a one-time donation. Please go to our PayPal at NoRolledOrder2@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, and remember folks, obey the NWO.
Okay, we are now going into our second main topic of the evening, and that is, it is not this month, but in the following month is going to be the 10-year anniversary of one of my favorite movies of all time.
I thought it already.
Which no, it officially came out August 13th.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I thought we'd get on the bandwagon first before everybody else did, and did their podcast doing the 10-year anniversary of Scott Pilgrim versus the
There's
World.
so many other podcasts doing Scott Pilgrim.
You'll be surprised, dude. People are starved for content
They're
right
already
now.
starting. They're already starting.
Yeah.
That's why I got confused because I've already seen like 10-year anniversary for Scott Pilgrim for like 2 months.
Yeah. So yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of all time, and I thought, what else are we going to talk about? So let's talk about this movie. So this is directed by Edgar Wright. He's famous for directing the Cornetto trilogy, which is Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, At World's End. He directed some parts of Ant-Man and wrote it. People still don't know which parts are exactly his, but
he gets a credit for it, so.
Huh?
I said he gets the directing credit for it. So
Yeah.
I would think, yeah.
He also directed Baby Driver. I fucking love that movie. So yeah, just overall, Edgar Wright is a fucking bomb. He also wrote the screenplay, him as well as his writing partner for this movie, which was Michael Bacall. And this movie is based off of a 6-volume comic book series that was written by, I have my notes here, let's see.
Lappy make
Brian Lee O'Malley, actually. What's weird about that is that a movie was greenlit before before Volume 2 was even written. So while the movie was released, there were still 2 volumes, Volume 5 and Volume 6, that weren't released yet. And those are kind of written in hindsight of the movie, so that's pretty cool. So yeah, I've never read the graphic novels actually, and I legitimately have a list of things to read, and it's on there. This movie initially came out in the United States August 25th of 2010, so it'll be 10 years in this August. It was a huge critical success. Unfortunately, it bombed at the box office. The budget was $85 million, and it only made back about $49 million, which is not great. Obviously, it only made back about half the money, but it has grown to become a very, very popular cult movie. It made huge money in home movie releases and stuff like that. That's how I watched it. I'm part of the problem why it didn't get a sequel. But yeah, I freaking love this movie. Just the way it's stylized, all that stuff. But before we get into it specifically, this movie stars Michael Cera, Scott Pilgrim, Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ramona Flowers, Kieran Culkin as Wallace Wells, Chris Evans as Lucas Lee, Anna Kendrick as Stacy Pilgrim, Brie Larson as Envy Adams. Let's see. Allison Pill as Kim Pine. Aubrey Plaza's in this movie. Brandon Routh is in this movie. Jason Schwartzman's in this movie. Eli Wong plays Knives Chow. So yeah, this movie is amazing. So I'm going to give you the honors again, Barker. What is this movie about? What's the synopsis?
So it's nerdy guy. It's in a band. And he has a underage Asian girlfriend, and she really likes the band, and he kind of likes her, but not really. Then he has a dream about this kind of emo girl, and figures out that she's actually real and at a party, and he really wants to dick her down. But fails ultimately. So then he goes on Amazon, which is weird because Amazon has withstood the test of time. And he forces her to go on a date with him so she can do her job and roller skate in snow. Then figures out that, oh, wait. Then he gets an email and he thinks it's like spam. It's like, if you don't send this, then you'll die in 10 days or something like that. So then they go to a battle of the bands because they're trying to be famous and shit. And he fights the first ex, and she tells him that he has to fight 7 exes. And then he fights Captain America, Superman, and Captain Marvel, which is weird for Michael Cera, but beside the point. Then he has to fight some guy that's gonna sign a band. But then the emo girl gets mind controlled and dates for X, who's the guy that's signing them. Then he fights and then he dies and he kind of cries for a little bit, but then he realizes he has another life and comes back and he fixes everything. And then he was gonna go back to the Asian chick, and she's batshit crazy. But then she tells him to go to the emo chick, and they go and fight crime in Gotham City, and hijinks ensue.
Nice. So I'll ask you because I know Whitney has, and I know Whitney has thoughts, so I know he's seen this before. But have you ever seen this?
I have, but it's been quite a while since I watched it the first time. I've only watched it twice, so I watched it 2 days ago, Friday.
All right, so I am interested to hear your thoughts on the movie. What do you think of Scott Pilgrim?
Do we have time for this? I mean, we're gonna.
Yeah. This.
I'll try to cut as much as I can. This movie is amazing. This movie has
thank you.
Test of time. The test of time. 10 years. 10 years. It has no dated jokes, which is great. I still laugh my ass off like I did 7 years ago when I watched this, or 7 or 8 years ago. I can't remember. No dated jokes. It's a Swiss Army knife of a movie. It's a comic book movie. It's a video game movie. It's an action movie. It's a music movie. It's a comedy. It's a rom-com. It's a romance movie. It's fucking everything. Edgar Wright, god damn it, you fucking nailed it in 2010. Thank you so much. I just watching it the other night, I laughed my ass off. I was still like, I knew what was gonna happen, but I was still watching the movie. It just blows my mind that after 10 years, like most movies, you're like, okay, yeah, it was good for then. No, it's still good now. He could still make that same movie today, and people would still laugh their ass off. They'd still love this movie. This is a cult classic movie. Good Lord, Scott Pilgrim, thank you.
I absolutely agree. And that's one thing that I never even realized is you're absolutely right about the jokes, is they're not dated as fuck. In a lot of movies that you see, the jokes are of the time, but the jokes in that movie don't date because they're not necessarily related to something topical or something technology based. Like it's all fucking like within its own universe, and I fucking love that. And the jokes are priceless in this movie.
Go ahead.
Go for it.
Okay. One of the things I loved about the movie, like the humor wise, is maybe you can agree with me, Abel, because I know Whitney doesn't like this show, but does some of the jokes have kind of like a Scrubs aspect to it?
It's very
when they're talking about his hair, and then like next thing he has a hat on, and then when Knives is asking like, hey, it's Scott there, and he jumps out the window like, he just
just this week I saw something on Twitter, and I was like, this is so fucking perfect timing. They did that's a real stunt that they did. It's not CGI or anything like that. So the way they filmed it is when his roommate, when Wallace closes the door and Scott steps aside, some guy just jumps through that fucking window and it's done. Yeah, it's fucking nuts. Dude, it's
also
fantastic.
Side note. Does anybody know who the actor Wallace is?
Yeah, he's Macaulay Culkin's little brother.
Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. The Culkins can do no wrong. Macaulay and this guy, they can do no wrong. This guy, I love. He was my favorite person in this movie. He's such a fucking just asshole, but he's so fucking funny. Like every time he talked, I could not stop laughing. Like, thank you. Like
this song goes up to the guy in the balcony. Please shut up and I hope you die. Woo! I love that song. All right, Whitney.
The balcony scene too. The balcony scene was just hilarious. Like, hey, you gotta fight him. Like,
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, overall, I do love this movie. It's great. It's a nerdgasm. I mean, it's got anime references, like even like when it does the whole explode thing when they go to the party. That's actually a reference to Akira, and like which is an anime classic. And everything. It's got 8-bit. It's got more modern video game references. It's nerdgasm across the board. Love all of that. The problem I have with this show, which also I watched this, what I'm about to compare it to, I still watch it from beginning to end because it's still a good show, is How I Met Your Mother. I had the same issue with Scott Pilgrim as I did with How I Met Your Mother. And that's, I thought the fucking main character is a goddamn douche and I hated him. If I met him in real life, I'd want to punch him in the goddamn face.
Yeah, no, he's not a relatable character. The only way that I think he's relatable is the fact that...
If you're a child molester.
Well...
I mean, he's a 25-year-old guy dating a 16-year-old Asian chick in the movie, and everyone's just fine with it. Well, actually, I shouldn't say they're fine with it because there's a lot of little, like, are you fucking kidding me? She's in high school, like, jokes, like, across the board. But I'm like, every chance. And the problem is I see what's happening. We're viewing it from his perspective, and you're the hero in your story no matter what, even if you're a fucking douche. And in this case, we're watching a fucking douche who's basically manipulated and fucking with this little girl the whole damn movie.
Yeah, no, whenever we watched it again, that power dynamic that he has over her, particularly because she's never been in this music scene before, and
she's never been in he's her first. She even says in the movie that he is the first relationship ever. It's a 25-year-old guy.
That's fucked up. And I've come to terms with that.
You met him in real life, you'd punch him in the dick.
Yes, no, absolutely. No, Scott Pilgrim is a very problematic character in the fact that, he's a complete dick. He's not very relatable. But ultimately, it is the story of. And by the way, the ending honestly he should have ended up with Knives. I think
should have ended up with nobody, in my opinion. Wait, that is how it ended. No,
he ended up with Ramona.
Ramona, which is better legally speaking, but.
So can I do my weekly Danny DeVito, please brush off your hat, Tim Burton on. Michael Cera is just that guy that they're just like, hey, we're gonna give you a script, but you're gonna read it like you're improving and you're doing a horrible job. But I mean he does it right. I love Michael Cera for that, Like it's like okay, you're really drunk and we're gonna give you a script and you have 30 seconds to memorize it and go on screen and action.
I think that adds to the character of douchery for me.
That's how he's got his calling, from Superbad, This Is the End, all those other, like, that's how he is and everything. But I love it. That it feels like it's improv and he's just doing a shitty job.
My main thing was him constantly being, I'm the guy who's having the rough time. And I'm like, you're the biggest douche around to all the people around you, and you're so self-absorbed, which is part of the gag of the movie, but I think that too many people don't get that too, is that he is the douche, that he's too self-absorbed to see what's actually happening around him. And to
be fair, the only likable character in this entire movie is Knives, really, and maybe Ramona. Those are the only two characters that you're like, I get it, but everybody else is a douche.
Actually, I like his sister who calls him out. I think it's a sister. Is it a sister or ex-girlfriend? The barista or whatever chick.
That's his sister. That's his sister.
His sister's the other likable one because she's calling him out on all this bullshit every time they fucking meet. She's just like, you're fucking dating a high schooler. What the fuck? What the fuck? Every time they meet, it sounds like she's a bitch, but if you hate him, you like her.
You can call him out on his bullshit and still not like her. I feel like she's a total bitch.
I think the other shop lady kind of too.
And the drummer?
She's kind of saying like, you're kind of fucking up right now.
Yeah. Basically, all the female characters are the likable ones. The men are all assholes in the movie.
I don't know. I didn't like Brie Larson. She's kind of a bitch.
So, that actually brings me up to my next big point of this movie is the music plays such a big part in this movie that I actually watched a YouTube video in doing some research for the movie that I never thought of it this way, but Scott Pilgrim versus the World kind of reimagined a musical as far as like the way the music is used and the way that they use fighting. And instead of having a big like show dancey, West Side Story kind of dance number, instead of that they have like fights, and each fight is different, so it doesn't look stale. So the very first fight is kind of your more traditional fight. The second one, he's fighting the stunt doubles and Chris Evans' character, and then he fights the twins, and then at the end it's like a sword fight with the bad guys. So it's a very modernized version of a musical.
That's not that modern, because in musicals a song is to represent a fight. Every time in West Side Story the gangs fight, there's a song. That's what fights were used for in music.
But it's very show tuney kind of thing, you know what I mean?
What they did was they changed it to rock.
Yeah. Rather
than like the show tune style.
Yeah.
Yes. No. But the actual fight part is classical, kind of ties them together.
Yeah, but my larger point is that I still very, very often listen to this soundtrack, listen to everything here, and I just want to know your guys' thoughts on the music from the movie.
Oh, in my opinion, it's beautifully done. It's like, and on top of that, the visualizations with the music, because they also hit multiple genres.
Yeah,
that's particularly that were big during that time frame when the movie was. Which most of them, to an extent, are still valid today. You got like the techno dubstep stuff. You got the rock stuff. You got the like poppy rock stuff. I thought they did a beautiful job blending it all together and also making it visually entertaining and also unique for every scene.
I agree. What do you think, Parker?
I think, kind of like I said with this movie, without the music, it's not that great of a movie. I think how they kind of blended all like Whitney said, how they kind of blended all the music and everything and put it behind the whole fight scenes and everything like that. I think he did a really good job. He kind of does that too with Baby Driver, right?
Yeah, and then he knows what music he's going to put. But the difference between Baby Driver and this is a lot of this music is original music written by Beck. He's the one that scored the movie, like Ramona. Yeah, Ramona songs like that. They're original. One Baby Driver, it's a lot of like famous songs. But yeah, I love that garage band sound to Sex Bomb. Like,
oh yeah,
if they were like a real fucking band, like they would totally be one of my favorite bands. And I just love that, you know, they evolved from this music scene in Toronto and the whole thing. And yeah, it's just the music still to this day. Threshold, Garbage Truck, Lunch Pack, McQuack. Like I fucking love all those songs. Yeah, and this soundtrack, as well as the Black Panther soundtrack that was composed by Kendrick Lamar, are two of my favorite soundtracks of all time. It's fantastic.
It's really great. Like just the fact that like how do I put this? Blending like there's a couple times like the bass fight and everything with Brandon Routh. Just like the comic book style where like you see like the D's and everything like that. Like I love how they blended that. And then there's like a couple like other scenes that you could see like they look like comic book, you know, like panels and everything. I really like that. And just how he blended that all together was really great.
And the dragons,
I agree.
the twins.
So I just think it's super funny that there's a lot of big stars in this movie before there were big stars, particularly two Avengers. We have Chris Evans and Brie Larson in this movie.
This movie caught a ton of people on the uptick of that roller coaster.
Yeah, for sure.
It was.
Well, no, actually, yeah. I looked on it because the whole Chris Evans scene. I was like, well, did he do Captain America first and everything like that? Like he had just got done with Rise of the Silver Surfer.
Yeah.
Like he's going off that Johnny Blaze, like, hey, I'm an arrogant douchebag and everything. Then Edgar Wright's like, hey, I'm gonna put you in the same role. And then I guess Chris Evans was like, yeah, I can't do that role anymore. Like, and then they're like, hey, we got Captain America for you.
What? Who's your favorite fight in this whole movie?
Ooh.
Favorite fight the whole movie?
Yeah.
Vegan.
That is such a great fight with Brandon Routh. He fought Superman. Yeah. Like Barker said, he fought Superman, he fought Captain America, and he fought Captain Marvel. I really, really enjoy that fight scene. Particularly that one aspect of that movie or that fight is that they have a bass fucking jam off, and I thought that was fucking dope.
Yes. That.
You know who else was in that movie that I when I saw him, I was like, where do I know him from? Thomas Kane, who was the Punisher.
Yeah, Thomas Jane. Yeah, exactly. He's part of the vegan police. Yeah.
Yep. I love that.
No vegan diet, no vegan powers.
Yes, I love that. That also made the whole fucking ending of that. I'm like, oh, okay.
And you ate a chicken parmesan. Chicken is a person?
Yes.
Wait, gelato is it? Yeah, gelato. Let's see.
No, I think that one probably is the best one. Probably next to the first fight. The first fight was pretty funny.
That's the one with the twins, isn't it?
No, that's the one.
No, the first fight is with Patel.
The Indian guy.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like,
yeah.
They're like, hey, are you a pirate?
Pirates are in. Dude, yeah, and this is such a rewatchable movie. Like all the jokes and everything from it are just. I mean, yeah, they're super funny. I always laugh out loud when I watch this movie.
As I said, they withstand the test of time. I mean, they're still funny today as they were in 2010. Even watching it twice, you know.
Yeah, the jokes, the side characters, everything's great. The only thing I can't stand is the protagonist. It's just like my feelings for How I Met Your Mother. Love the fucking series. Could watch it 3 times. Hate the main character.
I've never seen that. Is he a prick in that too, or what?
Yeah, but the thing, the two characters, the thing that follows the two of them is I'm so alone. But then they act like complete assholes to all the women that are in their lives. Like, they're complete douchebags. They're like, actually, you were saying earlier that he's not relatable. He is relatable in a sense that we all know that fucker. That just like...
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get at, is that he's relatable, and that we all know that one guy.
That one guy who's like bitching about being alone, yet dating all the fucking time, and just treating every woman that he's with like a complete asshole. But then expects, I don't know what he expects. But yeah, so basically How I Met Your Mother and Scott Pilgrim have that same overlapping character type. Oh, I'm so sad. I'm like, then stop being an asshole.
He is a prototypical, what I think a lot of older generations think millennials are. I think particularly around that time.
He's a bad rat for us.
Yeah, and I think that's why they wrote him that way. Because I think he's very, very stereotypically and prototypical of what people think a millennial is.
Yeah.
Just bitches and whines about everything, and nothing's ever, good enough, and they think they deserve something.
If you actually follow the movie, he also is using his friends like constantly. Like his gay roommate, he's using him for support. To feel better about himself, even though the gay roommate doesn't agree with anything. And then also at the same time, he's mooching off of him. He's the guy not paying rent.
Yeah. I love that scene where they take inventory of the room, and everything is Wallace's except for like Scott's jacket.
Yep. Exactly. Yeah. So he is the epitome of the mooch that fucking is just going from friend to friend until he wears off his welcome. And then also is dating a high schooler. We've all known that guy.
Yeah, no, we always knew the guy that didn't take off the Letterman jacket, and he stayed in high school one too many years.
Yeah. He's the millennial version of that guy, of the letter jacket guy.
Yeah.
They're still out there. Like,
well, I'm sure they are. Let's see. I love Aubrey Plaza in this movie. She plays a little bit role, but she's fantastic in this movie. I talked about that. So the ending for a lot of people is the 17-year-old girl aside, that Scott Pilgrim at the end fought for himself because they gave him the sort of, self-respect. So ultimately he should have ended up with Knives, not Ramona. But I don't know. Where do you get, besides the obvious elephant in the room, like, what do you think of where that ended?
I honestly thought that I thought it was going to be annoying if he ended up with Knives, not just because of the age difference thing, but I mean, obviously he's after this new girl, and really the whole thing is him getting self-confidence, which I understand that concept, but at the same time he's a douche, so I don't want him to have more self-confidence. Does that make sense? Really, the battle isn't about a girl, it's about his own self-confidence. And if you think about it, all the fights have nothing to do with his girlfriend. They're just him with his fucking own issues with the fact that she's been with other guys or other people, I should say, because there's one woman in there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, we're not. Yes, we are actually meeting these people, but it's more of a visual representation of his issues and his hang-ups. There you go. We're actually battling through his own hang-ups with the new girl. And that's also possibly why he is with the high schoolers, because he doesn't think he can be with somebody of his own age and whatnot. It makes it attractive.
I never thought of it. I never thought of it that way. For many times I've seen that movie, I just take it at kind of like face value. It's like he's fighting the exes, the past exes. But yeah, you can make the case
think about that. They don't even. She even says it has nothing to do with her. It's all about him. So it's his own. And in the end, who does he battle? Himself. It's his own issues that he fights. And when he finally gets over them, then he can move on and become like an adult in a relationship. Does that make sense?
That's a good way to put it. No, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that I like that.
So really,
but ultimately, though, the League of ex-boyfriends or girlfriend or of exes was still like a thing that the main bad guy came up with. So it could be a representation of his hang-ups, but at the same time, it has to be taken into
But are we seeing a literal world or an imaginary world in his own head?
I think it's a literal world. Literal.
I think it's a little. I think we're kind of seeing this weird like inner battle as he goes through life, and we're visualizing it through all of his.
It's based off a comic book, so I take the universe because it is very, like what happens to these people when he punches them into coins? Like, do they actually die? So these things kind of run, through your head and stuff. And maybe it is something that that only he's thinking of or whatever.
Right.
But
I think that's also why everything has so many genres put into it, because it's literally his entire existence and all the inputs of his life and how he interprets these things.
Yeah, that's a good way to think about it, actually. So there's two camps you can think of this. It's a literal world where everything's just so fucked up and crazy that he is punching or he's kicking dudes' heads off and they turn into coins, or it's kind of just like his own kind of daydream of like what's going on and stuff like that. So
it's his own way working through it.
I think that's an interesting way to think about it. Yeah. It's just some other notes that I have on here. This movie, I think, it's as much a comic book movie as a video game movie, even though like they made a video game afterwards. But just the little thing. One of my favorite things in this movie is when he goes to pee. He has a little like life bar, and then he pees it out, and the life bar goes to empty because he's peeing. I think that stuff like that's really, really funny. I wrote on my notes, Scott Pilgrim sucks, particularly him. So. The graphic novel part of this movie, you see a lot of onomatopoeias in it. You see a lot of like panel changes. The movie is beautifully shot. Cinematography is on point with the movie. Just the way that Edgar Wright uses the camera and the CGI to kind of shift cameras and almost makes you think like you're reading a comic book. The way that he's moving the camera around and stuff like that. Brie Larson is amazing in this movie. I know a lot of people think of her as Captain Marvel. I always think of her as Envy. It's just a fantastic movie. I love this movie, and even with its character hangups, it's one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time, regardless of genre.
Oh yeah, it is a good movie overall.
Yeah, Barker, what are your final parting thoughts on the movie?
I think I said everything I need to say. I think I agree with Whitney. The ending scene. In my opinion, I think the ending scene he needs to be with Ramona because all his other exes were his decision. So he dumped them. There was never a time where he was about to be dumped and everything like that. And so now I think he's found somebody that he kind of puts him in check and everything that like he's never had that before. Like you said too, just all the comic book, the video game kind of aspects of it, and they put in a lot of like Super Mario kind of things, Zelda, Final Fantasy. I mean, it's a really great movie, all in all. If you haven't watched it, to all the student athletes out there, what the fuck are you doing? Please watch this. Is all I got to say.
Alrighty, so Whitney, we'll start with you. What are your final ratings for this?
I'll go titties.
Barker?
For my movies, Kitty Titties, you have to impress the fuck out of me. Like it has to be that thing that I literally go out of the movie theaters and I'm yelling at people like, why have you not watched this? Get the fuck in there. Like I will pay for this and everything like that. I wish I could do that with this movie. I can't, but I'm going to do the highest of titties I possibly can. Like literally like boner jean scraping.
Titty and a half.
Yeah, like dry hump as hell titties.
What was that Mars movie? What was that Mars movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Total Recall.
So Total Recall titties.
Yeah, there's 3.
1/2 extra. You got 3 titties.
Yeah.
Total Recall titties.
Is obviously I put this in the Hall of Fame. This is my very first Hall of Fame induction, so obviously it's Kitty's titties for me. And if there was a level above that, it'd be the bronze to the platinumed Kitty's titties. So yeah, I fucking love this movie. So yeah, Barker's right. If you haven't seen this movie, whether or not you like it, that's obviously
no. First off, what the fuck are you doing? And then go watch this movie.
Yeah. Obviously, form your own opinion, but I think this movie definitely needs to be seen by everybody, whether you're a movie fan or just whatever. Watch the movie. Definitely can't recommend it enough. Alrighty, we are now getting the fuck out of here. Next week's show, we are going to for sure talk about Justice League versus Teen Titans. When this show comes out, I don't know. Jasmine told me next week it's our anniversary week or this upcoming week, so everything's kind of shut off. So we'll see when that comes out. It might be running a little late. So yeah, we'll definitely do that for sure. What are some things that
maybe we just do the show without you?
Andres suggested that actually. So if you guys can, that's absolutely fine.
No. That show would be so. Dude, we would not get anything fucking done. Like ridiculous. Like
it lasted 5 days, Abel. 5 days.
I would just
they're still going at it
like 40 times. Like,
had to get a shit bucket.
Yeah. All the student athletes, this show literally does not run without Abel. So there can never be a show without Abel.
Alrighty, so what are some things that you guys are watching, reading, listening to that you guys want to recommend to the student athletes out there?
I'll go first. So actually, since we were talking about those voice actors, and I mentioned it briefly, Critical Role, it's something I would say look on YouTube for or whatever. It's on Twitch. It's on a bunch of things. But basically, it's just a bunch of voice actors playing D&D. So they don't just play D&D, but they basically are like making the voice, including the guy that we talked about, Travis Willingham. He plays this character named Grog, which is this dumb fighter who's fucking hilarious. But literally every single person in that is in almost every anime you've ever watched since 1995, every DC cartoon you've watched since 1995, and every Marvel cartoon you've watched since 1995. They're basically very prolific voice actors. But the entire cast, and also almost every video game that's a major video game has these guys' voices in it. They're just all over the place. But I advise it. It's fucking hilarious. It's awesome. It's a good way to kind of get into D&D if you're just like interested in seeing what it's like.
Nice. Barker.
I'm on my phone right now. CJ says, Whitney, go fuck yourself, and everything you say is wrong. I guess that's his recommendation for the show.
Okay. That's his right.
My recommendation, this movie has been getting a lot of flack, I think, because of the coronavirus not being in theaters and everything like that. I watched it last night. I paid $7 for it on demand, and it's not the greatest, but it's really great, and I think a lot of people need to go on and watch it. And it's Scoob. I know as a little kid watching Scooby-Doo for decades and everything like that. I mean, it's a great cartoon. It's had a lot of great voice actors. The plot is stupid, but the jokes are always fun. This one's pretty good. If I had to rate it, I would say titty. It's a really great movie. It's been getting a lot of flack because not a lot of people are watching it, and they think that we don't need another Scooby-Doo movie. But I think you're wrong. I think in this trying times where we're kind of getting through this and everything, that you need a couple chuckles and you need a good cartoon. And I think that's what this is. So if you have the chance, it's on the Apple TV app. Go watch Scoob. It's a really good one.
You're going to hear first, people. Barker's calling you a stupid bitch if you don't think we need another Scooby-Doo movie. I am recommending, as I was folding laundry today, I was like, what can I watch to kind of, pass the time as I'm folding laundry? Well, I'm a big Nirvana fan, and I've heard of this documentary before. I just never seen it, and it's Soaked in Bleach. And what it is, it's basically the account of the private investigator that Courtney Love hired to help find Kurt Cobain in his last 4 or 5 days. And he then kind of, under his own, I haven't finished it yet, but I've always kind of, I don't know, because it is kind of conspiracy-like, but I've always had an inclination that it wasn't just straight suicide and that Courtney Love had something to do with it. And yeah, the private investigator is like, yeah, like it wasn't a straight suicide. So it's super interesting. I'm about halfway through it. And yeah, it's on Amazon Prime. So yeah, check it out. It's called Soaked in Bleach.
I remember when that happened and everybody was.
What were you, like 45?
Hey, I was in 7th grade. Thank you very much. and everybody was crying in the hallways.
I believe it. If you guys have any suggestions or comments, let us know on Facebook or Twitter. What's everybody's Twitter tag thing?
At Barker375.
At ZELBUBUTH. You can find me on Twitch, TikTok, whatever. That's what I am.
Mine is Saint_Able45. You can find us. You can find the show specifically on Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, Libsyn, and Stitcher. Buy some merch. We would really appreciate it. It helps the show. We have an NWO playlist up. You can listen to all the intro songs that we've done from the very beginning. I figured out a way to put this up on YouTube without having copyright strikes. So please, if you prefer a video form of this, it's not necessarily like you can see us, but it's still the podcast, but it is in video form.
If we just did the video, we'd just see Abel's forehead
the entire time. Yeah. Let's see. I rearranged the Patreon, and I actually either tonight or sometime later next week, I'm going to record a show on all the details that you get on the Patreon. So please go to the Patreon. There's a $1 level. There's a $3 level. There's a $5 level, a 10, a 20, and I highly doubt anybody will do the $50 monthly level. But there are different goals for each one. Huh?
I might do it. I might get
Why?
drunk.
You're already part of the show.
Well, who cares? I might just get drunk and prove you wrong.
Okay, but yeah, every tier has different things that we can give you, or you'll be part of the show. If you even do the $50 level, you can suggest a couple shows, that we can talk about on the topics and stuff like that. Shirts, stickers, posters, stuff like that. So yeah, it's really beneficial now. And even if you do like $1 a month, like that is money that that'll really help the show, and we would really appreciate that. And after a while, it does add up. So yeah, I'll have a video on that here pretty soon. PayPal, and I completely understand, we are living in some trying times, and not everybody has the cash to donate $10 a month to a podcast. But if you want to do a one-time donation, we would really appreciate that too. Go to PayPal, nerdworldloader2@gmail.com. Any and all funds towards the show would really help us kind of get this honed in, and we would appreciate it if anybody donates. So yeah, thanks for everybody for listening, commenting. We really appreciate it. Anything else, guys?
No.
Yeah.
All right, don't
I'm
forget.
getting a big birthday here in like a few days, so that's about it.
What's the big birthday?
209.
What?
209.
No, not quite that many. But it is one of the
Is it 40?
Yeah, it's 40.
Nice. He didn't want to say it. I said it for you. It's fine.
Fucking
All righty.
Wednesday or Thursday. Don't Wednesday.
All right, guys. And don't forget, obey the NWO.
Obey.